Welcome to the Olympic city of Sydney, Australia. Welcome to the Thunder Down Under. The madness is about to meet the mania in the first ever Australasian Cage Combat Championship. I'm Michael Chavello, cage side with my verbal sparring partner, Australian kickboxing champion Mark the Hammer Castanini. Mark the Hammer, let's look at the basic rules.
3 by 5 minute rounds, no biting, gouging, eye gouging, knees to the face, elbows to the back of the head, strikes to the throat, or putting that finger into the eye or the mouth for the fish hook.
And let's take a look at how you can win a fight. You can win by a knockout by your opponent submitting or by the corner throwing in the towel. The referee or the doctor has the right to step in and stop the fight, or it'll come down to the judges. There's 3 of them cage side, and all of them will decide who will be the winner in the end if the fight goes the distance. And what a fight fest we are in for, with fighters from an array of martial arts disciplines. We have a world jiu-jitsu champion from Brazil, an American taekwondo stylist, a Canadian grappler from the Ken Shamrock stables, and 2 champion Kiwi kickboxers. Let's take a look at the fight card. Mark the Hammer.
Simon Sweet, of course, Zendokai Freestyle Karate versus Neil Bodycott, Goju-Ryu Karate. Vernon White, Taekwondo. Mario Sperry, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Matthew Rocker, Tank Sudo. Elvis Sinosic, Judo. Chris Hazeman is Open Jiu-Jitsu. And Hiro Tarangi, Zendokai Freestyle Karate also.
We should also point out that Newcastle's Neil Bodycott was a late replacement for this man, Insane Zane Fraser, one of the pre-tournament favourites from the USA.
I didn't pass the medical. I tore a right calf muscle while training, and the doctor would not allow me to participate in the event.
You disappointed?
Very disappointed. I was going to win this. There's nobody going to beat me. I trained really hard. We were really prepared for this event, and we wanted to really go out. I was excited to compete, and I trained a little too hard before the fight, which I shouldn't have done, and that's cost me.
Head-to-head for our first fight between Simon Sweet from New Zealand and Neil Bodycott, the late replacement for Zane Fraser from Australia. It's karate against karate, Goju-Ryu against freestyle karate. It should be a ripper. And listen to the crowd go crackers as Newcastle's Neil Bodycott makes his way to the octagon. He's a last-minute replacement, Neil, but he's accepted the challenge without hesitation. Let's look at some stats and facts.
Well, Neil, although his background is in Goju-Ryu Karate, he has a very vast experience in Brazilian-style Jiu-Jitsu, and he will be a formidable late opponent.
We see Neil Bodycott getting prepared in the ring at the moment. And here comes the first of our Kiwi challengers. I can hear the music in the background. It can only mean one thing, the emergence of Simon Sweet. Simon Sweet being led to the ring by a haka of Maori dancers. And let's go to some stats about Simon.
His discipline is Zendokai Freestyle Karate, and he has extensive experience in Muay Thai and kickboxing over there in New Zealand.
I've fought in Australia, mostly in Australia, Auckland, throughout New Zealand. We've always been rated second best. I think it's about time us Kiwis, put ourselves up top where we should be.
Simon Sweet stepping into the octagon, preparing for the first Cage Combat Championship of his life against Neil Bodycott from Newcastle, the last-minute replacement for the injured Zane Fraser. And we're taking a look at ref cam on the camera mounted on the hat of the referee Cameron Quinn. A very unique concept indeed, and the first of our ring girls stepping into the octagon.
That ref cam, Michael, is certainly a revolutionary thing brought in by the promoter of this event, Randy Babel. It is certainly unique, and you'll be seeing some great images from that tonight.
Well, it's mounted on the head there of our referee Cameron Quinn. We could call it Cam. We're about to get underway. The time for talk is over, ladies and gentlemen. Cameron Quinn gets us underway in the first ever Australian Cage Combat Championship. We are ready to rumble. Here they go. Simon Sweet on the left, Neil Bodycott on the right. They tie up straight away and Biffo into the action. Uppercuts with the right hand by Bodycott. Ties up the leg of Simon Sweet. Looking to take him down. Down they go to the canvas with a thud. Oh, he's inside the guard of Bodycott. He hit him beautifully with that one. Simon Sweet on top of Bodycott, laying into it with the right hand. Goes for a shin kick. Didn't come off. Bodycott struggling to survive. Simon Sweet turns him around, traps the leg. Bodycott's got the leg and Simon Sweet's out of trouble.
Simon Sweet, he is going to use his knees, he's going to use his hands. He is a kickboxer, Thai boxer, and you can bet they're going to see some vicious blows coming from this man.
There was the big left round kick by Simon Sweet to the ribs of Neil Bodycott. He checks Bodycott's low kick and moves straight back in, tying Bodycott up around the neck.
And here comes Simon Sweet with those head punches. What a flurry of punches there. Simon Sweet will be going headhunting, as I said earlier, and that's something to watch out for. Here we have the aggressor meter now, another revelation. Michael, just explain to the viewers what the aggressor meter does.
Neil Bodycott in the blue corner being slightly more aggressive than the red corner of Simon Sweet, and the reps being attended to by the trainer of Neil Bodycott, Mark.
You can bet that Neil Bodycott's going to have to keep his hands up, because certainly Simon Sweet's going to be going headhunting in true Maori fashion when they recommence after this small break here, just to tidy up those wraps on Bodycott's hands.
Simon Sweet given the opportunity to take a breather at the moment, receiving some instructions from his corner, as is Neil Bodycott, and referee Cameron Quinn is there to say, get it on, boys, we want to rumble once again.
Simon Sweet is a good quick starter, and he'll be coming out like a bull at a gate.
Low shoot there by Neil Bodycott, taking Simon Sweet down, a big elbow to the spine by Simon Sweet. What a ripper it was! Neil trying to get back to his feet now. Simon Sweet takes him straight back down against the edge of the cage. The crowd are really getting into this one.
Bodycott's going to try and keep Sweet tied up, because he doesn't want to stand there and trade blows with a man of such strength and such experience.
Well, Simon Sweet inside the... Oh, big right hand! Almost knocked him into next week with that one. Another shin kick, another one by Simon Sweet. Neil Bodycott taking more knocks to the front door. Look at Simon Sweet go. Unbelievable action here at cage side. Well, the crowd, 5,000 of them out of their seats. What we are seeing is Cage Combat Championship at its very best. Simon Sweet, Neil Bodycott. Oh, big right hand.
Look at that. That's just pure courage from Bodycott. Pure courage.
They're pulling out all the... the left hook. He's almost down on his feet. Neil Bodycott, half delirious, and the aggressor meter in favour of Simon Sweet at the moment.
Defend yourself.
This is unbelievable. Mark the hammer. Oh, big right hand.
From Sweet.
They're pulling out all the stops. My word, how is Neil Bodycott still standing? I don't know. Simon Sweet being forced to cover up. Bodycott with the knee to the ribs. Now drives in a couple of blows to the midsection. Those hands of Simon Sweet like battering rams at the moment. He's got Bodycott tied up and takes him down for front headlock.
Bodycott there released a couple of punches onto Sweet. Sweet just looked at him and smiled at him. They didn't have a lot behind him. He's going to have to get a little bit more power if he's going to affect...
Another big right elbow was to the spine by Simon Sweet. Still applying that front guarding headlock it is, or he's actually got his hands braced under the chest of Neil Bodycott, and that's a wear-down tactic by Simon Sweet.
It is certainly a wear-down. He's going to try and cut off his air supply and just tire him out. Bodycott on top now.
Bodycott on top of Simon Sweet. Gives me the chance to jump up and start screaming again. Simon Sweet comes back. He's forced to cover up. Taking a lot of punishment is Simon Sweet.
Not enough behind those punches though, Michael. Bodycott's going to really let him go.
Just not enough muster behind them. Simon Sweet covering up for dear life. Bodycott on top of him, doing a lot of damage, but not enough sting behind those punches.
How is he throwing these punches after all that beating he took earlier? The man is just tenacity personified.
Neil Bodycott is a man on a demolition mission at the moment, and that mission is to put an end to Simon Sweet, but it's not working because Sweet is well covered up. Tries to open up the New Zealander, goes for the armbar, doesn't quite come off, and Simon Sweet for the moment is out of trouble, Mark.
Simon Sweet. Oh, there's a shit to the face and to the ribs.
Take one of those, flush on the kisser, it'll be good night, Irene. A nice uppercut it was by Simon Sweet. Bodycott, half delirious, he's taken a lot of punishment.
Oh, there's a right from Bodycott of his own.
Right hand. The aggressor meter in the favour of Simon Sweet from the red corner. Neil Bodycott's aggression is falling.
Oh, right from Sweet. He's letting them go. Bodycott, how is he standing up, Michael? I don't understand.
They're pulling out all the stops. It's all war here in the cage, in the octagon. These guys are fighting on intestinal fortitude. They're fighting on sheer courage and determination.
Forget Rocky. This man, Neil Bodycott, he's the real life. He's the real thing, Michael.
Oh, there's the foot stomp. The foot stomp is seen on ref cam. That's the way our referee Cameron Quinn saw the foot stomp of Neil Bodycott. A nice knee to the midsection by Simon Sweet. He wants to turn this into a Thai boxing bout. He doesn't want it to end up on the ground.
Bodycott's got to go to ground. He can't stand there and trade blows with a man like Simon Sweet. He's got to get in, tie him up and take him down and try and finish him off that way.
Bodycott looking worse for wear. Oh, big right hand almost knocked him over. And that's the end of the first round. What a ripper, Mark the Hammer Castanini, pulling out all the stops.
What can I say? What can I say? History in the making here tonight, Michael. This is raw. This is no rules fighting. as you've never seen before in Australia or indeed the South Pacific region.
And look at the crowd, 5,000 of them cage side have gone absolutely bananas. Let's go to the replay. Simon Sweet laying into Bodycott there with a big right hand, and Bodycott survival tactics covering up.
Bodycott will be wondering about taking this fight on 4 hours notice, that's for sure, but I take my hat off to the man. Oh, there's that left from
He
Sweet.
almost knocked
Have
him
a look
into
at that.
tomorrow.
And there he has a bit of a look at the camera.
He says, what the hell was that? What the hell is going on
And
here?
again.
My
Oh, that
word.
hurts me every time I look at it. And again. Oh, I tell you what, Michael, Neil Bodycott, he's taking those punches without gloves. I don't know how the man is still standing.
And there's the big foot stomp. We just saw it there from Neil Bodycott. That one would have hurt Simon Sweet. There'll be no walking tomorrow for him. We prepare for round 2 of action. What a ripper of a first fight we have seen. The capacity crowd of 5,000 loving every minute of it. And we take a look at the aggressometer showing Simon Sweet in that first round. 3/4 of the way there, very far the aggressor in the first round of action. In this, the Cage Combat Championship, coming to you from Sydney, the Olympic city of Sydney. We're ready to rumble in the second round.
I reckon Simon Sweet would have sent that aggressometer right off the end there with some of those flurries. Neil Bodycott did well to stay up.
Let's go in the second round of action. Neil trying to take the big
There's the
man
uppercut.
down. The big man, Simon Sweet. Mark, tonight, he's the biggest man in the tournament at 100 kilos.
Oh, that's not unless you've got a body double here, Michael.
Very funny, Mark the Hammer. A front headlock there by Neil Bodycott. Cutting off the air supply off Simon Sweet. Take one of those for too long, it'll be lights out for you. And Bodycott trying to gain a lot of leverage. Simon Sweet with the knee to the thigh.
Bodycott's going to want to take Simon Sweet down here. There you go, because that's where he's comfortable with, and that's where he can win it.
And Neil Bodycott exerting a lot of pressure, his full body weight on top of Simon Sweet. How long can Simon Sweet take this punishment? How long can he survive in the octagon with the full body weight of this man, Neil Bodycott, leaning down on top of him, slowly but surely choking him out. And there's a tap out! The tap out! It's good night, Irene! Simon Sweet has submitted to the choke of Neil Bodycott. It's good night for the New Zealander. Neil Bodycott has defied the odds. The last-minute replacement has come through to win the first ever fight of the Australian Cage Combat Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner from Newcastle, Neil Bodycott.
And a standing ovation from the capacity crowd for Neil Bodycott. Came here on only 4 hours' notice, defied the odds, defied tremendous punishment in the first round, came out and won it by submission, Mark.
Something straight out of a Rocky movie, Michael. That was something that you'd have to go a long way to see.
Please for Simon Sweet.
And let's take nothing away from this man, Simon Sweet, the Kiwi crusher. He came here to do a demolition job on Neil Bodycott, and for the first round at least, we thought he'd done one.
He started like a tank. I wouldn't want to be on the end of any of those punches. Bodycott here going to work, but not having a lot of effect. Simon Sweet's used to taking shots like that, and much worse in the kickboxing ring.
Simon Sweet lining up that big left round kick to the ribs. That one really stung Neil Bodycott, would take the starch right out of him. We see those blows to the midsection again by Neil Bodycott, but as you said, Mark, Simon Sweet, his midsection is well conditioned to those sorts of punches. Being a Thai boxing champion, he just pushed Bodycott back and wound up the big left leg kick.
Simon Sweet, of course, is the New Zealand ISKA heavyweight champion and super heavyweight champion of New Zealand. And he's used to taking shots like that and much worse from some of those big boys over in New Zealand. Here we see him going to work on Bodycott. Bodycott trying to close the gap and not let those punches rain in on him. There's the big right. You wouldn't want to be on the end of that one. I'm amazed that he was still seeing the lights and still being able to defend himself after he took a blow like that to the jaw. Here we see the shin kicks raining in. That one caught him straight across the face, the jaw. I don't know, this man must have a face made out of steel, because not many people would be able to take this sort of punishment and be able to defend themselves or know where they are, moreover, after you've taken some hits like that.
All the time through this, Mark the Hammer, Neil Bodycott trying to tie up a limb, tie up the chest of Simon Sweet, still maintaining his sense of awareness. And Simon Sweet unleashing a lot of punishment onto Bodycott. My word, just look at that. Right against the cage, and Bodycott fighting to survive. There's the big shin kick. Almost took his head off. Look at that.
And
took a flash on the kisser.
The second one really landed. The first one just off target, but the second one really got in there. And here you see Sweet, he's trying to get in on him with those punches. And Bodycott is tucking his head right in under there to protect himself, as is instinctual to do.
Mark the Hammer, in the end, it was always going to be a problem, though, for Simon Sweet if his fight did end up on the ground. He's more comfortable standing up or being in a standing position, as you see at the moment, and working down, raining down those punches on his opponent. Here he is, standing up, toe-to-toe, and there's the big left hook. That one there almost knocked him into tomorrow.
Have a look at it.
Followed by the big right hand, actually connected perhaps with the right elbow there. But that's where Simon Sweet is most comfortable. He never wanted to go to the ground, but eventually that's when Neil Bodycott ended up getting him.
Bodycott is always going to... Oh, that punch hurts me. I'm in pain just looking at that. I'm telling you now. There you go, and the big right after that left hook. But they were flush, they were on target, and a lesser man would have been taken down. Those elbows to the back have to have hurt him. But the tenacity of this man is absolutely unbelievable.
For a man with as little grappling skill in competition as Simon Sweet, he actually didn't look too bad on the floor.
He tried his best, definitely. I think a little bit more preparation. Here we see Bodycott. Now, not enough sting behind those punches. I think if he really would have got his weight behind him, he could have finished the fight here. But as I said, Simon Sweet is a conditioned athlete, and he would have taken those. They look painful, but and they are. But to an athlete of his ability, they're used to taking knocks like this, and Bodycott would have really had to have drilled them in to have stopped the fight here. As you see, Sweet kicked out of this predicament, and the fight continued on. But Bodycott just not enough mustard behind it. But you can't blame the man. I'd challenge anyone to take hits like that and then be throwing correct technique, because there's not too many people out there. In my years of watching fights and in fighting, I haven't seen too many people take knocks like that. So he's bound to be worn down from that.
And Bodycott here going for the armbar.
He tries the armbar. Simon Sweet actually flips out of it. Oh, and there's another shin kick to the face and then to the body. And Bodycott straight up to his feet.
Bodycott took some tremendous punishment. We go to ref cam.
Oh, those shin kicks also. He timed them well. And as I said, a lesser man, I don't know. Bodycott, he's amazed me tonight.
Fantastic intestinal fortitude by Neil Bodycott to sustain such an enormous amount of punishment from a big man like Simon Sweet.
You see Bodycott here with the forward choke, and he's going to take him to the ground where he's comfortable. This is a comfort zone for Bodycott, and he's got the head arm choke here from the headlock control position, and this is what did it. He just cut off that head. He can't breathe. Have a look at Simon Sweet's face, and you can see he's really gasping for air. He's having a lot of trouble breathing. And Bodycott he's happy to stay there. He could stay there all night. And there's the tap out. And that's all he wanted. He wanted out of there.
And let's have a look at the draw. Neil Bodycott advancing into the semi-finals, who will meet the winner of Vernon White versus Mario Sperry. Mark the Hammer's in the change room with Neil Bodycott.
Okay, we're backstage now with Neil the Bruiser Bodycott. That was a great first up round from you. Stand there trading blows with a very accomplished kickboxing fighter. But in the end, it was the grappling that won it for you.
Yeah, that's right. No, he's only human. I can stand up, take it with him. Thought if I can get him on the ground, I can finish him on the ground. He's not a grappler. I did my job. I was happy with it. Took a while, yeah. Had to stand up and fight with him. It's part of the game.
Coming up next, we have Vernon the Tiger White from the USA against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion Mario Sperry. But now for something a little bit different, let's go to those hot fever girls in centre ring. And we actually took our cameras backstage and take a backstage look at the Fever Girls. A big night for them, a little bit nervous at the start, but they're here tonight to give us something spectacular in the centre of the octagon.
When you put your arms around me, I get a fever, it's so hard to bear.
I love my job. It's buzz? It's big buzz. Would you trade it for an office job? Never.
Whatever word I say, no one can love you the way I do, 'cause they don't know how to love you my way. You gave me fever when you kiss me, when you hold me tight.
I'm all natural, from top to toe.
Fever all through the night. Some nights of the daytime, moonlight my eyes light up when you call my name, 'cause I know you're gonna That is something you should know. Fever isn't such a new scene. Fever started long ago. You give it fever. Fever.
If you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't be up there.
Fever.
Yes, you're watching Fever, Australia's leading exotic female dance show. Come on, guys, let's hear it out there. The more noise you make, the hotter things get, fellas. This is Fever. Woo! Yeah, you gotta talk to these girls. You gotta let us know how you feel out there. Come on, how do you feel? Let's hear it. What about this side? Let's hear it on this side. And this side. And this side. Come on, let's hear it out there. Woo! Talk to these girls. Let's hear it. You want more? Well, let me hear it. You want more on this side? Come on!
Oh, I'll tell you what, Mark the Hammer, these dancing girls are something else, aren't they?
Well, do you want to pick your tongue up off the floor, Michael?
Oh, sorry, it does that sometimes. I'm going to ask the promoter if he can maybe set up a blind date with one of these girls. What do you think?
I think they'd have to be blind to go out with you, mate.
You'll keep, Hammer. Just you get backstage and do those interviews again, okay?
Let's hear it for Crystal.
And there's those girls from Fever. Thank you, girls. Thank you very much for what a spectacle. And coming up head-to-head, our next fight on the night, Vernon the Tiger White against the Brazilian champion, Mario Sperry. It should be an absolute ripper. And that music and those beautiful dancing girls again can only mean one thing. The Brazilian Carnival has come to Sydney, Australia.
Certainly the crowd is in for a great display of grappling here from one of the best in the world, Mario Sperry, from the Gracie clan. You can bet this man will have all sorts of technique.
All the way from Brazil, he is one of the living legends of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighting. Let's go to the stats.
Fresh from the ultimate fight in Alabama, Mario Sperry put up a great show there. And you have a look at these statistics here on screen. World heavyweight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, one to watch.
I train 6 days a week. Depends. When I'm on a competition, I train 6 days. When I'm on a competition, I train 5 days. When I was a kid at school, I was a very, nasty boy. And then my mother took me to a doctor. The doctor said that I was a very nervous kid, couldn't stop moving all the time. So he advised my mother that I should waste this energy that I got. So she put me at jiu-jitsu. I learned a lot of things: respect, honor, friendship, and to love the healthy styles.
Mario Sperry in the octagon preparing to take on a fine opponent indeed in the Tiger, Vernon White. Mario Sperry, as we said, one of the living legends of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the reigning world champion in that martial art of submission fighting. And making his way to the octagon is the man they call the Tiger, Vernon White.
Well, in his preparation for this fight, Michael, Vernon has been sparring the likes of Ken, the legend Shamrock, and of course his brother Frank in preparation, and you can bet he would have had some great workouts with them.
I started Taekwondo because out in Calvert County where I used to live, it was a really, really closed-minded community, and the people there did not like me because I was black. So I joined Taekwondo. And after fighting and beating up some of the biggest people out there, I earned my respect. And I studied submission fighting with Ken Shamrock and his brother Frank Shamrock, who is currently my trainer. And I've been with him for 4 years.
Well, Frank Shamrock and his legendary brother Ken are more than just trainers. Their school, known as the Lion's Den, prepares their students for a lifelong commitment of war on the floor.
Lion's Den is the name of our school, and we're basically submission fighters. We have about 6 world champions that reside in our school that fight for us. It's basically a whole lifestyle that we teach them. It's not just fighting, it's not just a martial art, it's everything. We teach you respect. We teach you, how to care for your body, how to take care of yourself, nutrition. We do bodybuilding. They come live with us. They basically live there and train and fight, and they're basically children until they fight, and then they kind of grow up and fight and go out on their own.
And there he is, the man, Vernon the Tiger White, up against this man, the reigning world Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu heavyweight champion, Mario Sperry. Referee Cameron Quinn just giving the last-minute instructions to both fighters. The time for talk is over. Here we go with 2 international fighters getting it on. It's Sperry versus Vernon White.
Well, these two, Michael, they're supreme technicians, and we're in for a great display of grappling in this bout.
Sperry moving in early, tying up Vernon, takes him down to the ground, assumes the mount position.
Off the right.
These are 2 of the most experienced ground fighters you'll find anywhere in the world.
Off the right, pull him off the right.
Mario Sperry is a man who can make his opponent submit in any number of ways. And Vernon White, well, technically, he's just brilliant.
You see that Super Mario has opted for the Bruce Lee style mitts, whereas Vernon, on the other hand, he's opted for the bare fist. He figures that they're going to have a lot more impact. Mario, on the other hand, is going to try and conserve his hands with those mitts, especially when they're going for the headshots.
And we can hear plenty of instruction being yelled at Vernon White by his cornerman, Frank Shamrock. And there's the aggressor meter, pretty even so far. Mario Sperry, the slightly more aggressive in the blue corner.
Sperry to date has the slight advantage. He's keeping control there and just leaning on Vernon. And basically, he's not going to do anything silly. He's going to pace himself, and he's going to make Vernon work for this.
Sperry trying to hook that left arm around the neck of Vernon White, leaning his shoulder into the esophagus area. Now comes pummeling with the right hand on Vernon, who's forced to cover up. Vernon wouldn't want to take one too many of those right hands. They'll put the lights out on you for sure. And there's that wear down tactic again by Mario Sperry, just leaning that right shoulder into the throat area of Vernon White.
Headbutts, of course, are allowed in this style of fighting, so you can expect to see some of them firing out when they're coming into close quarters. That's why the fighter on the bottom will often... Oh, there he goes. Sperry going to work. As I was saying, you can see when their heads are together, they're going to try and make sure that he's not going to give any fighter the advantage to let any headbutts fly.
Well, there's the big punches coming again from Mario Sperry. And often, in these cage combat championship style events, the punch is not used as a knockout technique, but more to gain a superior position on your opponent. And that's what Mario Sperry is trying to do. He's got Vernon White tied up like a pretzel at the moment. Look at that, Mark the Hammer.
He certainly has, Michael. Vernon is putting up a great display today. Mario is a very experienced campaigner with 270-odd fights and only one loss, and that was very, very early in his career. So you can bet that this man is going to be very much on his game tonight, and there's going to be not too many mistakes made from his side.
Mario tying up the arms of Vernon White, the aggressor meter showing that Mario Sperry looking in control of this contest at the moment. Trying to get the scissor lock around the neck of Sperry, but Sperry's out of trouble and straight back onto Vernon White.
Don't let him control your chin.
And there's the ref cam as seen by a referee, Cameron Quinn, doing a fine job. There's Frank Shamrock, cage side, shouting plenty of instructions at his man, Vernon White. Oh, shakes Sperry off his back. Well done by Vernon White.
The tide has turned.
White trying to move inside the guard of Sperry.
Vernon going for that leg again. Keeps him away with that push kick to the chest. Mario in on him now.
Mario Sperry is one slippery customer, I'll tell you what. And Vernon White, well, so far he's had more escapes than Houdini and doing a fantastic job of staying out of trouble. We should also mention, Mark the Hammer, that Vernon White, a former Taekwondo stylist, came to the ring wearing a gi, but he took that gi off to go into this fight against Mario Sperry. Why was that?
That's certainly a trend that has evolved in this type of fighting, Michael. Early on in this style of fighting, everyone used to fight in their traditional uniforms, but some of the fighters found that it was giving the Gracie-style fighting a distinct advantage because they were using those uniforms for chokeholds and the like. The fighters these days have opted more for the lycra and the bare chest because there's nothing there for them to grab onto.
And a front chokehold being applied there by Vernon White. He's got him against the cage. And referee Cameron Quinn moving in to break up the contest. The bell has gone. That is the end of the round. And Mario Sperry doesn't want to break this hold. Of course, in Brazil, the no rules Vale Tudo fighting, they don't have time limits. They just keep going until one guy submits. And Mario Sperry, well, Mario, you're in Australia. You had to break. Here, we've got time limits.
Mario doesn't want to break. He's used to fighting without a time limit. And obviously he's deep in concentration there. His corner's yelling to him now in Brazilian that it is time. And he's been warned that he has to follow the referee's ruling on that.
And we take a look at the aggressor meter showing that Mario Sperry being the aggressor in the first round of action against Vernon White. What a fantastic first round. Technically brilliant by both men, Mark the Hammer.
That's correct, Michael. Here you see Mario letting a few good right hands go in there on Vernon. And that's certainly going to pile up the points for him on the judges' scorecard if this fight goes the distance. Mario, I'd say, by this first round, certainly had more control, and the advantage would definitely be his way as reflected by the meter.
If you look at it, Mark, it really is a chess game down there on the floor. Everyone tries to put the opponent in a certain lock. There's an escape to that. There's a counter strategy. We can see Vernon White here taking a bit of punishment to the back of the head with those right hands from Mario Sperry.
Well, he's taking
eventually gets his way out of it.
That's right. The punches, as you quoted earlier, the punches are used to create an opening for the grapple.
And there's the shake-off again by Vernon White, and he immediately moves straight back in and goes on the attack. It's pound for pound, counter for counter. We're ready to rumble. Here we go in the second round of action. Both men just tentative, just waiting for the moment to see an opportunity to move in, to make their shoot and take one another down to the ground.
A shoot, of course, is when one grappler actually shoots himself in, grabs the legs or the waist of the other, and takes him to ground, as you've just seen Mario apply there. Well, you'll hear the crowd there, they're very vocal. They want to see more of the stand-up type of fighting that they've seen in the bodycut and sweet fight. But I'll tell you something, this style of grappling, this style of fighting really takes it out of you.
Mark the Hammer, can I ask you a question? I mean, in your illustrious career as an Australian champion kickboxer and point fighter and karate fighter, did you ever want to step into the octagon? Did you ever want to step in and fight no holds barred for $25,000?
Michael, for $25,000, I'll fight naked on top of a rock in the middle of the desert.
Simple yes would have been enough, Mark, but thank you anyway. As we see Mario Sperry, a beautiful spin out there. Vernon had a hold of his leg. He spun out quite amazingly. Beautiful technique it was there by Sperry, and he is the aggressor again in this second round, but not by too much, according to our aggressor meter.
You see Mario, he has Vernon in a head arm choke here. He's got that arm tied up, and he's got that neck really tied up well, and you can be betting that Vernon will be gasping for air, having a lot of trouble breathing. He's doing well to survive this.
Vernon has that arm, trying to tuck it in there. Sperry leaning his full body weight with the shoulder onto the esophagus of Vernon White.
This is a technique, of course, that in the first fight, Neil Bodycott used to finish off Simon Sweet, a very similar hold, and Vernon, as I said, is doing great to survive this. He's just relaxed, he's a very relaxed fighter. He's conserving his energy. He's not doing anything that he doesn't have to.
It's interesting to note while we're on the ground that the ground fighters, such as we're seeing at the moment, have won most of the UFC matches and reality fighting matches overseas. 45% of all those matches have been won on the ground, only 22% in joint locks, and only 33% have ended as a result of striking. And there's a leg bar applied by Vernon White, but Mario, slippery as ever, escapes from it again, dragging Vernon across the canvas, trying to get out of the leg bar, and applies what looks to be, well, he's probably going for a front choke block down there on the canvas, but he's got one arm actually hooked under the chest of Vernon White and now shifts across to the side.
I'll tell you what, Michael, a lesser fighter with some of these moves that Vernon's been trying, they may have given the fight away. With Mario, his experience is really coming through. He's playing his cards very close to his chest, and he's not letting anything go to chance. He's keeping a cool head, and he's just getting out of these locks as he has to.
We should also point out that what you are seeing tonight is Ultimate Fighting. That is the style of fighting, but what we're seeing is Cage Combat Championship 1 here in Australia. It is vastly different from the American Ultimate Fighting Championship. There are more rules in place to ensure that fights are fought purely on martial arts skill. And while the promoters of tonight's event have put on a real entertainment spectacle outside the octagon, once the fighters step in, it's down to no nonsense martial arts action at its very best. And what we're seeing is a fine ground fight at the moment in which Mario Sperry is the aggressor against Vernon White. And the crowd of 5,000, well, they're captivated because what we're seeing is a game of strategy, it's a game of chess, and it's a war on the floor, Mark the Hammer. It's a war of technique.
It takes a lot to appreciate what these guys are doing in here. People are used to seeing the boxing, they're used to seeing the kickboxing and Thai boxing, but I tell you what, these guys, they're athletes and they're supreme fighters. You leave anything exposed and they're going to capitalise on that and use it to their advantage and inflict a hell of a lot of pain on you.
Mario Sperry leaning all his body weight down on Vernon White at the moment. And Sperry has White in a real conjunction at the moment, Mark the Hammer.
Well, what the hell is a conjunction, Michael?
Well, I don't know. I just made it up, but as a journalist, I can do that type of thing. Don't you worry about it and just leave the calling to me, Mark.
We need to have a long talk after this, Michael.
I'll have a long talk to you in the dressing room, Mark the Hammer, as we see Mario Sperry take the bottom position underneath Vernon White, and both men in a bit of a stalemate at the moment.
This is reality fighting, Michael, and this is reality. And you should snap yourself back into reality and stop talking about silly things like taking me out the back and reliving a dream that you maybe once had.
I think I'll just let that one go through to the keeper, Mark the Hammer. You'll keep.
You're a wise man to let it go through.
Take you out the back and slap you around myself if you don't be careful.
There's a dream mode again coming into it.
We see Mario Sperry leaning that shoulder into the esophagus of Vernon White. There goes the bell. It's the end of the second round. Mario Sperry again, the aggressor in that round, Mark the Hammer.
Certainly, and that's a fair thing. Mario has had control. He's a very cool and calm customer. Placing his shots, there's the right hand.
And look at the look of intensity in the eyes of Mario Sperry as he leads in with that big thumping right hand. And here he is, spinning out of the leg lock. That's a brilliant manoeuvre.
That's experience personified there, Michael. He knows what was coming and he knew exactly how to get out of it. There you see it again. You'd have to go a long way to find a grappler that would be able to pick that, feel the technique coming, just spin right out of there and take the advantage back to himself.
Vernon White.
You see the above, the overhead look.
No shortage of counters from Vernon White, trying to tie up the leg again, and Mario again spinning out.
He really, there you see Mario just stepping on Vernon's stomach. Everything he does is technically very sound. He'll step on his stomach and use up his air.
Let's rock and roll in the third round of action between Vernon the Tiger White on the left of screen against Mario Sperry on the right of screen from Brazil. Both men waiting to shoot in. A big clubbing overhand it was by Vernon. Didn't quite find the mark. Oh, there's a nice stinging jab by Vernon. Mario just waiting for the opportunity, looking at his man.
Good jab again by Vernon.
Mario moving in.
He's going to ground.
Wham bam body slam. Down goes Vernon White. Mario's in the mount position. And what's the Sperry man, the Super Mario man, going to do from here? Leans that shoulder into Vernon's neck yet again, and Sperry already proving the aggressor in this round, according to our aggressor meter.
He's got the meter running in his favour again. Nasty boy Mario Sperry, as he said when he was a young boy. He was a nasty boy, and he's certainly living up to that reputation here tonight. He's turned into a nasty man, and he's going to work and doing the job so far on Vernon. But Vernon doing very well for himself at this stage, keeping him tight and not letting anything go.
Couple of left hands there by Mario to the side of the head of Vernon. Brings one back to the ribs of his own. And they're just leverage moves by Mario Sperry, trying to gain a more superior position on his opponent, Vernon White. There was maybe a short headbutt.
Vernon trying to arch out of the control position, get Mario off him, but it's finding it a little bit difficult. The body weight is right down on him. And he's decided just to chip away there at the floating ribs maybe and just bide his time, lock up Mario's leg and just see what he can see and see where this move is going to lead to.
Well, you hit that one on the head, Mark the Hammer, pardon the pun. We see the intrigued viewers there at ringside again, cage side I should say, where all the action is at the moment. Mario Sperry tying up Vernon White. And I'll tell you what, leaning your body weight down on a man like that, it's got to take it out of Vernon White.
You'd have to actually have this done to you to appreciate how much energy is being expelled there. Vernon has got a man of approximately 90 kilos leaning down on him, bearing down on him with all that body weight, and he's going to have to be finding it hard to breathe.
Vernon White, Mario has a hold from behind. What can White do to get out of this situation? Oh, there's a big left elbow to the side of the head by Vernon White. Mario Sperry felt that one. You can bet on it. What a ripper, Mark the Hammer. That came out of nowhere and momentarily got him out of trouble.
Well, he felt where Mario was. He knew the head was roughly in that area, and he let that reverse elbow go. That was a great move, great anticipation there by Vernon. A young man with a very big future in this style of fighting.
I tell you what, Mark the Hammer, I have seen caged fights from right around the world, but this has been one of the most technically brilliant cage fights I've ever seen.
I'd have to agree with you, Michael. I've seen most of them, and this show in Australia is certainly one of the best in the world. You'd have to go a long way to see a night of entertainment that we've seen so far.
A rear headbutt there, another one by Vernon White. Mario Harry tucking the head down, tucking taking the chin down and copping them right on top of the cranium, sweeps the legs and takes Vernon down. And look at the aggressor meter. Vernon White getting more aggressive.
He's getting it a little bit his own way now, Vernon. There's a forward headlock.
And the chance of Tiger erupt across the Sydney Darling Harbour Convention Centre. 5,000 people cage side for this action-packed event.
Well, the Australians, they love an underdog, and they've certainly taken Vernon under their wing, and they're urging him to fight off the Super Mario and see what he can do.
Right against the cage, both fighters. Mario.
See Vernon's fingers locked there. He's got him in a nice tight grip, and he's just getting himself together. And he's going to go for another move now, Mario. He's happy to bide his time as well.
This is just a sensational matchup, a real war on the floor. Technically superb, both of these men.
See Mario just butting his head in there. Just those little things that are very hard to pick. But in there, oh, here he goes to work. He's going to work now, Vernon, with those hands.
Mario with left and right hands to the head of Vernon White. And Vernon forced to tie him up for pure salvation against the cage. Mario Sperry, you can see the experience shining out. 158 no-rules fights to this man. Only one loss, and that was 8 years ago as a blue belt. And there goes the bell, and there goes the end of the third and final round. Mario Sperry finishing the aggressor. What a fantastic fight we have seen between two of the most superb grapplers you're ever likely to come across.
That's great sportsmanship from these men. They still have great respect for each other, and that is what the martial arts is about.
A standing ovation there, Mark. A standing ovation
Certainly
for those in the crowd that can appreciate true grappling at its very finest.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the result. The winner, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Mario Sperry.
Well, the man from Brazil has done it. Mario Sperry takes the goods and moves into the semi-final. Let's go to the replays. And we see Mario moving in here to shoot on his opponent, Vernon White. That's coming to you from RefCam.
Certainly is, Michael, and I'd have to say I agree with that judge's decision. Here we see Vernon with a reverse headlock, taking Mario to ground. He put up a great fight, this young man, and he's got a big future ahead of him. Good mover, good footwork. Mario coming in for that shoot again, wanting to take Vernon down and get him on the floor where he's comfortable and put in some of those moves that he's renowned for, and that we've seen in Alabama, of course, where he was successful as well.
Well, Alabama, he went to the mat with Mario Bustamante and, of course, took care of business over there. And all this experience of Mario Sperry comes from 10 years training with the master Carlson Gracie, of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. There's that elbow. Mark the hammer. See the sweat fly off his brow. But then he had the good presence of mind to take Vernon down and get out of trouble.
He tucked in and then took him to the ground. You'll see he's switched his head around, and then he's just gone for that dump, taking him over, and he'll quickly move into the mount position from there. And here he's going to work with his hands. He's created an opening, seen the head out there for the taking, and just popped in those left and rights.
I'll tell you what, one too many of those will make Vernon wish he was someplace else, and Mario Sperry just went to work for him. And we see Vernon covering up with both hands as we go to the draw, and the first semi-final will take place between Neil Bodycott and Mario Sperry. Let's go backstage with the hammer, Mark Castanini.
We're backstage now with Vernon Tiger White. What have you got to say?
I think Mario is a very good fighter. He's very strong. But I think I fared pretty well against him, you know, on the ground. Most of his guys give up, and I wasn't about to give up to him. And I think I was a better fighter standing up. As far as anything else, you know, there's no excuses for me losing or anything. It was just his night, not mine.
Coming up next, we have Chris Hazeman from Queensland, Australia, against the Kiwi from New Zealand, Hirua Tarangi. It's Cage Combat 1. Head-to-head, next up we have Matthew Rocker, all the way from Ontario, Canada, against Elvis the King Sinisic from Sydney, Australia. And here comes the King, Elvis Sinisic, pandemonium in the crowd as the King comes through the octagon to meet up with the man from Canada.
Well, Elvis Sinisic, a student of Machado and JB Will Jiu-Jitsu, will certainly be a formidable opponent, and he'll be one to look out for in the upcoming rounds.
We take a look at Elvis doing his pre-fight stretching, but the question on everyone's lips is, why did his parents name him Elvis?
I think it was coincidence. It's just a name they liked, and years later I discovered that it was related to someone else famous. I think I started around 10 years old. It's something I wanted to do because of the Bruce Lee era, as well as my parents found it good babysitting at a cheaper rate. And I'm now doing JB Will shoot fighting, where I'm a green belt at the moment. But I've done judo, taekwondo, a bit of Filipino stuff like Kali, some freestyle martial arts.
Well, Elvis come here to do the business, but he intends to fight for more than just the winner's purse.
I think we've got some of the greatest fighters in the world out here, and I think it's a chance for us to see what these guys are like, and also to get up there against them and show them what Australians are made of.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Elvis Sinisic cage side, preparing himself to face the man from Canada, the man they call Matthew Rocker. Here he comes, the young gun who's only 20 years of age and making his debut in Cage Combat Championship 1.
Well, Matthew Rocker, it's a coming of age for him. It's certainly he's out of the Lions Den, and this is his first big event, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes against Elvis.
My manager told me that there was going to be a tournament overseas, and I thought, because this is my debut fight, what a better place to do it than down under.
Like Vernon Tiger White, Matthew Rocker is a student under Frank Shamrock at the legendary Lions Den.
At the Lions Den submission fight, I've been training for about 9 months now. My main style is jiu-jitsu. I've been doing that for about 6 years, and I've been involved with martial arts since I've been about 9. The toughest thing about training at the Lions Den is the mental. It is very, very tough, but if you can handle that, you can handle just about anything. I promise you. I hope that just with all the training I've done, I can go in real calm. I don't want to go in all like in a flurry trying to throw all sorts of wild technique, but with the skills I have, I hope to do well.
The young gun, Matthew Rocker from Canada, preparing to take on Elvis the King Sinisic from Sydney, Australia. Elvis has the capacity crowd of 5,000 right behind him. This man, who has appeared in Blitz Martial Arts magazine as a national all-styles point fighting champion, is also a judo champion, and he's a champion in many facets, but can he emerge as a champion here tonight inside the caged octagon? We are ready to rumble. Referee Cameron Quinn giving both men their pre-fight instructions. We are ready to get it on. Let's rock and roll with the King and the Canadian.
Well, it's Australia versus Canada, and let's see what the boys have got to offer.
Nice low leg kick there by Elvis the King Sinisic. The big crowd going crackers when he came out to the octagon. Another nice low leg kick there by Elvis. Another one by Elvis Sinisic, looking good at the moment. Rocker sizing his opponent up, just waiting for the opportunity to move in and make the shoot on the King, Elvis Sinisic. Sinisic changing his stance, moving now into a southpaw stance, and there's a low shoot by Rocker. Did it come off? Sinisic ties him up, grabs hold of the leg, dumps him down to the canvas, gives him the chance to jump up and start screaming. Elvis Sinisic has gone crazy. It's good night, Irene. It's good night. My word, Elvis Sinisic tried to make him a permanent part of the canvas, and Matthew Rocker is dazed. Elvis has rocked the building.
So that was great anticipation there from the referee, Cameron Quinn, a very experienced martial artist and referee. He's seen that Matthew Rocker was going to cop a beating, and he just jumped in on it there and stopped it before too much damage could have been done. Great anticipation.
Mark the Hammer, give me some pills. I'm having a heart attack here. That couldn't have lasted more than 30 seconds. Give me the straitjacket. Let's take a look at it.
We see the boys moving, both of them moving very well. Elvis letting the leg kicks go there, just to make that thigh a little bit tender and stop Matt from moving so well. Again, another one, and he's out of range of that hand technique of Matt Rocker.
We see Matt just waiting to move in for the shoot, firing out the left hand there. Elvis just biding his time, waiting to see what the young Canadian has to offer him.
Changing his stance.
And
Matt
there's the shoot.
He tried for the shoot, definitely. But Elvis just stood his ground and took him down, and here he goes.
Pummels him with that right hand.
The beginning of the end for Matt. There you go, and there's Cameron Quinn right on it.
I'll tell you what, he almost knocked him into next week with those right hands. Elvis Sinisic bringing the house down. Pandemonium erupted when Matthew Rocker's head slammed against the canvas. Let's take a look at it from this angle. Dumps him down. There goes the right hand. Elvis Sinisic did a number on him.
Matt Rocker actually tried for the shoot, and then what had happened there is Elvis actually reversed it and took Mac down. There you see his head actually just bouncing off the padded floor. And
as you said earlier, Mark the Hammer, good interception there by the referee Cameron Quinn, right in on the action. Let's take a look at it from this angle, and you'll see Matthew Rocker's head slam back against the canvas on the receiving end, flush to the kisser, those right hands by Elvis the King Sinisic. Look at him go.
There's a big right. And another one to the upper chest, and he's going for that head.
Oh, it's good night, Irene. Look at that. It's all over for Matthew Rocker, and Cameron Quinn is there to separate them. And that means that Elvis the King Sinisic moves into the semi-final.
And there's a very disappointed Frank Shamrock in the background there. He was hoping for big things from his young boy.
A semi-final berth for Elvis Sinisic. He'll come up against the winner of Chris Hazeman against Hiro Tarangi. What a fight we just saw.
Okay, we're backstage now with Elvis Sinisic.
Hi guys.
First up round.
Thank you. That's what I came here to do, and that's what I've done it.
Made a short work of that first round. What do you see your game plan for your next round?
I'm going to stick to the same game plan. I'm going to get in there and go to the ground. That's where I'm comfortable, and that's where I like to fight.
Well, what a great first up win for you, and you've got the crowd right behind you now, so good luck.
It's fantastic. I'm doing this for Australia. It's great.
Matty got you a little bit by surprise there. Got the jump on you a little bit early.
Yeah, well, I went out there, I threw a couple punches. I think I tagged him on the nose, and he used some leg kicks and got me in the leg, and I figured it was time to try and take him down, shoot on him. And he, stopped my shot, and I just don't know what happened from there. I hesitated, so I figured I'd try and go to the guard and just work from the guard. And when we went down, I sat back and I figured I could try and go for a leg, but he had a good enough balance to get a couple good shots in there, and they phased me. So, hats off to him. He was a better fighter tonight.
Coming up next, we'll have Chris Hazeman from Queensland, Australia, against the Kiwi destroyer Hiro Tarangi from New Zealand. And here comes the Kiwi destroyer. They call him that name for very good reason. He's put the lights out on all his opponents in the kickboxing ring. He'll want to put the lights out on Chris Hazeman tonight.
Hiro Tarangi, a number of titles under his belt so far. Be interesting to see how he equips himself under these rules here tonight.
It's right up my alley, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. And it's going to be awesome. 8 good fighters out there, and it can be anyone at the moment. So, and I don't know much about the Brazilians and the Americans and the Aussies, and should put on a good show.
What an athlete. Hiro owes much of his success to his regular training routine.
6 days a week lately, but it's starting to wind down now, so just a 1 day off and then eat heaps of chocolates.
And now, Hiro Tarangi receiving some last-minute instructions and preparations from his corner as we welcome from Queensland, the man they call Chris Hazeman. And Chris being led to the ring by an Aboriginal dance group and his large entourage. He's got your nickname, Hammer, Chris the Hammer Hazeman.
Well,
don't know about that.
You know what they say, Michael, 2 hammers are better than 1.
Well, you're going to hit this nail on the head out the back later on or what? But look at Chris Hazeman. Look at the look of intensity on his face. He is on a demolition mission.
He certainly is. Chris Hazeman also has competed in reality fighting in Alabama recently. Australia's most experienced no-rules fighter.
I do gym most days. I do a boxing circuit for my fitness and a wrestling circuit as well. It's no good hopping in there and thinking, well, I'll do whatever comes. I think you've got to have do something which is natural, okay, which you've planned and you've trained for many a time. I know this is the first time that I've had a big fight in Australia. All the other times I've had to do the travelling, and I know it does run you down a bit, so hopefully we'll have a home crowd advantage and a lot of support out there.
We're almost ready to rumble in this fight between the Hammer from Queensland, Chris Hazeman, and of course Hiro Tarangi, the Kiwi destroyer. And there's that ring girl that I've got a date with later on, Mark the Hammer. She said yes to that blind date.
You're in dream mode again, aren't you, Michael?
And she's looking at me as she holds that #1 ring card. I can tell you what, I'm #1 on her list tonight.
You've been flashing that wad of money around again, haven't you?
Works every time. Cameron Quinn gets us underway in Caged Combat Championship. And Chris Hazeman wastes no time doing what he does best, tying up his opponent and taking Hira Tarangi down to the canvas. Tarangi's got the right arm hooked around the head of Chris Hazeman.
Chris Hazeman, he goes straight to ground because he knows that's his comfort zone. Take Hira out of his stand-up fighting comfort zone and get him into your own. Here he goes to work now.
Chris Hazeman in the mount position, going to work with the thunderous right hands. Hira Tarangi being forced to cover up. And I've been keeping a close eye on the hands of Hira Tarangi. He's got one there, looks like he's going to the eye. That's an illegal technique. You can't be doing that, Hira. And Cameron Quinn's there to keep a close eye on proceedings.
Chris Hazeman, recently featured in Blitz Martial Arts magazine, said that he wanted to be Australia's #1 fighter.
Mark the hammer is Chris Hazeman resting that chin. He's got the chin in the eye of Hira Tarangi. It's all over.
And that is a legal technique. It is legal.
It is a legal technique. It's a way of getting around the rules. There is no eye gouging with the fingers, but nobody said in the rules you can't gouge with the chin.
That's right, Michael. He's rehearsed the rules well, and he's found that little loophole that probably a lot of the other fighters aren't aware of. And you've got to give him credit for that because he's a well-researched fighter.
I think loophole is the perfect word to use there, Mark the Hammer. He knows his ways around the rules, Chris Hazeman. He's had so much experience overseas fighting, and he just dug that chin into the eye of Hira Tarangi and made him submit.
Take nothing away from him, Michael. He's a very experienced grappler, and he's been there. He's fought in Japan. He's fought in the USA. Here you see him going to work. He's got that head, and he's not giving it any leverage. He's not giving it any slack at all. He's holding it in one hand, going to work with the other.
And there's the chin dug into the eye of Hira Tarangi, and there was only so much punishment that the Kiwi crusher could sustain before he was going to submit. Well, you've got someone driving their stubbly chin down into your eye. You can only survive for so long.
Exactly. It is reality. It's reality fighting. That's what cage combat's all about. They're trying to get it as close as possible as to what you would find in a life-threatening situation, what you'd have to do to save yourself. There you see Chris, he's just burrowing in. He's got a big, thick neck, and there's a lot of power there, and Hira just can't budge him. He just can't move him. He's got his hands clasped well and truly around Hira's neck, and he's just going to work there. Hira, desperation. He thought about sticking his fingers in Chris's eye, and the referee Cameron Quinn advised him otherwise.
Ouch, that one hurt. And let's go to the draw now. We have the semi-finals all set. Neil Bodycott against Mario Sperry and Alvis Sinisic against Chris Hazeman.
Chris making very short work of Hira Tarangi there in that very short first round.
Feeling good. Take it as it comes. Some tough fighters out there. Basically, that's all I'm going to say now. I've got a lot of work to do, so...
Didn't want to stand there with a kickboxer and trade blows?
Over and done with as quick as possible. A lot of respect for that man. I've watched a lot of fights. He's one tough boy. And I knew if he hit me in the head or give me a kick, it was probably going to be a good night for Hazeman. So, no chances. Did it quick, and it worked.
A little bit unfortunate there, Hira.
Yeah, it started off, pretty good, but then... I know it's going to be a real tough fight. As most of these guys are pretty top fighters, but it's a whole new level on the ground, and
it was a lot harder than you thought it would be.
I reckon it's quite easier, but it's just you just got to know all those holes to get out of it, and yeah.
And coming up later on, we have Neil Bodycott against Mario Sperry in our first semi-final. But first of all, let's go back to the octagon, and hello, what do we have here? We've got some guys, or they might be girls, dressed up in ninja uniforms, Mark the Hammer, dancing around the octagon and in the centre of the octagon. What are we in for?
I'm not really sure, Michael. Let's just hope they don't start throwing those mysterious smoke bombs around, because I've got to be able to find my paperwork on the desk here.
walk through the corridor of creation, we see lands divide. Nation against nation, like comets they collide. And we pray for the unseen to be seen by the eyes of man. When heaven and earth are hand in hand. Thy will be done. Let it rain love, 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 let it rain.
Well, Michael, I see you madly filling out an application to join up the ninja school that these girls go to here.
Oh, you're a funny man, Mark the Hammer. Just let me pick my tongue up off the floor. My word, hand me a glass of water. I'll tell you what,
I think
these Fever girls are spectacular.
I think you should start by wiping that dribble off your collar, mate, because you're going to go nowhere with that on there.
There's my date for the night. Doesn't she look spectacular? We're going clubbing afterwards. Back to business, heads ahead. We have Neil Bodycoat up against Mario Sperry in our first semi-final. This should be a classic confrontation. Mario Sperry, the raging favourite, one step away from immortality. He's already been in the cage for 17 minutes. Can he survive an encounter with Neil Bodycoat to move through to the final?
Mario Sperry is looking very calm and relaxed, and he's an experienced fighter. He'll know exactly what to do in this round.
And here comes Neil Bodycoat making his way to the octagon. Word is backstage in the doctor's office that Neil's coming into the fight, Mark the Hammer, with a broken jaw.
Well, he certainly has a suspected broken jaw, but of course Mario doesn't know that, so it'll be interesting to see how Neil covers up and tries to protect that very sore point.
A broken jaw, what guts, what determination from this man, the hero of the first round, the late replacement from Newcastle, Australia, to step back into the ring and step in the cage with a man like Mario Sperry.
Ready? Ready? Time?
We are ready to rumble our first semi-final. Neil Bodycoat on your left, and a cardinal mistake there by Bodycoat, offering his leg to the grappler. Down to the ground goes Bodycoat. Mario Sperry all over him nice and early.
Mario Sperry inside Neil Bodycoat's guard. He's going for the side mount now.
Neil, try and get up, stand up.
And some instructions being shouted from the corner of Neil Bodycoat to try and get this war off the floor. Try and stand up.
There go the hands.
There's the
Mario
right
working.
Sperry. Bodycoat forced to cover
that
up.
left hook.
Sperry trying to drag him back for a rear choke lock. Didn't quite come off. Referee Cameron Quinn is there to make sure everything is okay for Neil Bodycoat. Mario Sperry in full control. At the moment, lays into him with the right hand. Bodycoat taking punishment. He's tapped out. It's over. Forget it. It's all over.
Neil Bodycoat just tried to protect his face and his jaw there, but what courage from this man to get in there with Mario Sperry and have a second go at it. He's in a lot of pain, obviously. There was a word from backstage, and Mario just going to work there on him. He knew that he took a beating. There's the mistake that Neil made, leaving that leg out for Mario just to grab and then the takedown. And that was where the beginning of the end for Neil, because Mario is the king when it's on the ground.
That's where the pendulum swung for Mario Sperry. He went into control after that leg was offered to him. Mario took him down to the canvas. It took a little bit of work. Eventually the big man Neil went down, and then Mario got on top of him and just went to work. Another day at the office for Mario Sperry.
Certainly. There's that leg again. Mario, great reflexes just to pick it up, grab that low leg kick, and then take him down. There you see Mario going in with the right hand, and Neil, obviously weary of his injury, trying to cover to the best of his ability. But geez, this guy's taken a beating tonight.
Neil Bodycott, he's taken more knocks than a front door, and we can see Mario Sperry going to work at him there on our ref cam. Mark the Hammer, he took some punishment down on the floor.
Well, he took it to the right-hand side of his face there, and then you see Mario changing and going to the left, which is where is the break, and he's tapped out straight away. He's just felt it on that fracture, and he's just tapped out. He didn't want any more.
And we see the view now here from our ref cam. Mario Sperry connecting to the side, the left side of the jaw, the broken jaw of Neil Bodycott, and he wisely tapped out of there. That means that Mario Sperry moves into the final to face the winner of Chris Haseman and Elvis Sinisic.
Mario, that fight was a little easier for you than the first round.
I guess not very easy. I was a little bit more concentrated in the first fight. The guy was tough, and he was unlucky to get in a bad position. All the fights are very tough. I was lucky.
That was a lot harder one for you then, Neil, but no disgrace to yourself.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, it was a hard one, the second fight. Very good competitor, Mario. I felt the punches raining in. I broke my jaw in the last fight. Should I say Simon Sweet broke my jaw? I wanted to get in and have a go. As soon as I started feeling him hitting on my jaw, I couldn't go on. I had to stop. You know, it's only going to compound the injury, unfortunately. I'm here to protect myself as well. I wanted to put a good show on for everyone. I hope I did that.
Head-to-head, let's look at our second semi-final. It's Chris the Hammer Haseman from Queensland, Australia, against Elvis the King Sinisic from Sydney, Australia. And here comes the King, Elvis Sinisic, making his way to the octagon. Another standing ovation from this capacity crowd for the King, who took us all by storm in the first round.
Well, Elvis, with a background in judo, of course, has now made the transition to Machado and JB Will Jiu-Jitsu. He's going to be well equipped to fight Chris Haseman in this upcoming bout.
It's pandemonium in the audience as Chris the Hammer Haseman makes his way to the octagon. He forced Hira Tarangi into submission in the first bout, and now he's ready, psyched, pumped, primed to do some damage on Elvis Sinisic.
Well, the experienced Chris Haseman used his chin to good effect in his last bout. Let's see what he pulls out of his bag of tricks in this upcoming round with Elvis.
Chris Haseman inside the octagon. He is Australia's most experienced, no-holds-barred fighter. And he's here tonight for Caged Combat Championship #1. Our referee, Cameron Quinn, just assessing the octagon, making sure everything is okay as we prepare to get it on in our second semi-final between the Hammer, Chris Haseman, and the King of Rock and Roll, Elvis Sinisic. Here we go. Haseman ties him up immediately, trying to take the King down to the ground, hooking the leg, dumps him to the canvas. Elvis has got him inside his guard at the moment, goes to work with the right hand. Haseman burying in there. Tries to grab a hold of the arm, can't get it. Elvis trying to apply the armbar, scissor lock.
He's got Chris Haseman in his guard, in his control. Chris just too strong there. That's just sheer strength got out of that.
Haseman has the weight advantage on the King, Elvis Sinisic, but Elvis doing a mighty fine job at the moment. Chance of Elvis reverberate across this capacity-packed centre.
Chris has a side mount position here. He has control, and there you go, onto the mount. He's working in again with that big, thick neck of his. He's a powerhouse. There he goes with a slight headbutt there. Elvis turns out of it. That was a great escape there.
Chris Haseman goes to the rear, but Elvis Sinisic ties up the leg. He knows what he wants to take down.
Chris Haseman tried for the reverse chin lock there, but Elvis seen it coming and just moved his positioning, nullified that.
Look at Chris Haseman, he's as quick as a crab in those moves, tying up his opponent. But Elvis Sinisic doing a good job at the moment, sustaining himself. Trying for a hip toss there was Haseman, didn't quite come off. And there's the aggressometer showing Chris Haseman in control, but only slightly at the moment. Elvis Sinisic putting up a fine effort indeed against a man so crafty as Chris the Hammer Haseman. Haseman goes down on both knees.
Elvis trying for recontrol. Haseman reverses it.
The crowd on the edge of their seats loving every moment of this, every moment of what we've seen here tonight. It's been a fantastic event. A short left hand to the head, a headbutt there by Haseman. Elvis fires back with the right hand of his own. We go to ref cam. And Elvis Sinisic just pushing Haseman off, and Haseman saying, "You don't want me, but I want a part of you, Sonny Jim. I'm coming back for you. You can't do that to me." And Elvis Sinisic just biding his time as Haseman comes back in to do some damage. side mount by Chris Hazeman.
He's hooked his head now. It's not a good position to be in.
Sinisic's arms are all tied up, nowhere to go.
He's got nowhere to go, and he's got all that weight on him, Elvis, so he's going to have to think about this.
Hazeman goes into the mount. He's in the control position to do whatever he likes. Some nice right hand to the side of the head. He's digging in that chin. There's the chin again. Can Sinisic survive it?
Tapped out.
He taps out.
Elvis is tapped out.
Oh, forget it. It's all over. Hazeman, the chin to the eye, has worked the trick for him again.
He got into that position, and he went for it again with that big thick neck of his with those traps. This holds that head in place with that chin burrowing in on your eye, and you've got nowhere to go.
I tell you what, very clever stuff, and some complaints coming from the corner of Elvis Sinisic.
Sorry, the chin is not illegal.
You can hear the referee, Cameron Quinn.
The rules that I've been given. Stay out of it, champ. I'm refereeing according to the rules that I'm given.
And the referee just specifying that a chin is a legal technique. You can do it, and let's take a replay of the action here at the moment. Down to the canvas, body slam, Elvis Sinisic.
And it's just the experience of Chris Hazeman coming out there. Elvis, a great effort, but Chris, once again, his experience has told, and moving around cautiously, but doing the job still there, and keeping control over Elvis. Elvis, a very nuggety fighter, very tight and good technician, but just had lost out a little bit in the strength department there from Chris Hazeman.
Well, that chin of Chris Hazeman's has proved an absolute lethal weapon tonight. It's taken care of 2 opponents, but the question is, can it take care of a 3rd opponent in Mario Sperry in the final? One thinks, Mark Castaneda, that Sperry won't fall for that sort of technique.
I think that Mario will certainly be too experienced to allow that to happen, to even come anywhere near happening. But there you see Chris, he's a powerhouse for sure. He's got his arm tied up, he's got him in the headlock, and he's got that arm locked up as well. Now, and he's working, when that arm comes free, he just works the headbutt in there. He's always thinking, and he's always got technique coming out. There he goes, he's trying to get that rear chokehold, always moving around, nice and calm, the headbutt moving in there. Give him an inch and he'll use it, Chris Hazeman. And that's experience. He's fought in Japan, Pancration, he's fought in America, in the no rules fighting in America.
Reality super fighting in Alabama last year.
That's exactly right. Same one that Mario Sperry was in. And these 2 guys are going to meet each other in the final now. So we're in store for a great final.
An absolute treat as we see Chris Hazeman doing a number on the king, Elvis Sinisic. Let's take nothing away from Elvis. He came here tonight, a bit of an underdog, but he absolutely won over the entire audience.
Well, Elvis has tried his hand at many different styles. As he said in his interview, he's been the National All-Styles continuous fighting champion. And that's a non-contact, and he's made the full transition here to no holds barred. So hats off to him. He's given it all a go, and he's a man prepared to try his training in a no holds barred event.
Mark the Hammer taking a very close look at these replays. Some superb technique being executed by both men. Look at the way Chris Hazeman is all over Elvis Sinisic, just tying him up.
You'll see Elvis's arms actually crossed over there, and that will really restrict your movement and not allow you to get a clean shot in.
He's gone for a good mount position, and he's leaning all his body weight down on
that chin. You can see that the creases in his neck, how much strength he's putting in. There's that right hand coming over the top, but he just can't get enough leverage to make him really hurt.
And that chin just
Chris
digging
Hazeman,
into the eye. There's only so much that Elvis could take.
He's putting everything into it, Chris Hazeman. It just grabbed on, and he didn't give that hand any leverage at all.
The final matchup between Mario Sperry and Chris Hazeman. Let's go backstage to the Hammer.
A little bit harder, that one, Chris.
Which is good. Can't have it too easy. So I took that one a little bit lax, like my trainer said. He was up me a little bit when I got back here, saying that I can't take it easy, which is true. He was a tough opponent. Well done.
How are you feeling going into the final against Mario? He's a very experienced boy. He's going to give you a run.
I seen Mario, he fought on the card with me in Alabama. Very good fighter. I have to give him my best shot. Home crowd, advantage, you never know.
Elvis the King, Sinisic. Good effort. Second round, a lot harder, that one. Against a very experienced campaigner in Chris Hazeman.
Yeah, all the best. He did well. Fought hard. Just at the end there, he got me with something which I didn't think was allowed. But it happens, I guess. The Australian crowd was behind me. I really wish I could have done better for him. I love this country, and, well, I hope I get another go sometime.
Coming up very soon, it's the final matchup. Chris the Hammer Hazeman from Queensland, Australia, against Brazil's Mario Sperry. But first of all, let's go to those saltacious Fever dancing girls again in a leather-clad routine.
But don't let me find you in the Fever Girls change room again either, Michael, because you've been warned. The security guys have told you to stay out of there.
Mark, I've got a plan. I'm a man with a plan. I'm going backstage again. Sorry, mate, I can't help it. Let me get my tongue. I'm out of here. Thank you very much, ladies, for entertaining us all throughout the night. My word, they were a spectacle indeed. I've got some fever, and I tell you what.
I think you should go and towel yourself down, Michael, and just get yourself together for this great final.
I can't, Mark the Hammer, because next we have the final showdown. Chris the Hammer Hazeman from Australia against Mario Sperry from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. What a war we're in for. This should be a spectacular matchup between two superb ground fighters, Mark the Hammer Castanini, Chris Hazeman, Mario Sperry. It's going to be a classic.
It's down to the final, Michael, and what a final it will be. Chris Hazeman, as the stats show, 100 kilo, 180 centimetre. Mario Sperry, 96 kilo, 184 centimetres. So there's not a lot in it there. Mario just getting a bit on the reach. Chris having a bit on the weight side. So it's going to be a very even matchup. I don't know which way I can call it. Whatever way you look at it, it's going to be a great fight.
Mario Sperry, one of the raging favourites, is one step away from immortality. He's already been in the cage for over 17 minutes. And now the question is, can he survive an encounter with Chris Hazeman and take the winner's check and belt back to Brazil?
Mario Sperry just making his way to the ring now, looking very confident, fresh, relaxed. He's ready, he's confident. He knows what he has to do. Let's just see if he can do it against Chris Hazeman.
And Mario being led to the ring by his training partner Murillo, who featured in that reality super fighting contest in Alabama last year. That's Murillo right behind him, saying best of luck to his main man, Mario Sperry, also being led up by the legend Halson Gracie from the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu stables in Brazil. Mario Sperry is a man on a demolition mission, and that mission is to take the winner's check and the prize belt home to Rio de Janeiro. But the man that stands in his way, the man who is being supported by over 5,000 people here tonight, Chris the Hammer Hazeman from Queensland, can he do the job and take care of business against Mario Sperry?
Well, this is going to be a big task for Chris. He's got to take on one of the most accomplished grapplers in the world today, Mario Sperry, and this will certainly be his true test come to fruition.
For Chris Hazeman, Australia's most experienced submission fighter, it's all come down to this. He's been waiting for this his whole career, and it's now or never.
Chris Hazeman, his last fight with Elvis, took him a little time to finish that one up with that chin in the eye of Elvis. I don't think he's going to be able to do that against Mario. I pretty much guarantee it. Mario's just a little bit too experienced to fall for that. So he's going to have to out-grapple him, out-fight him to win this one.
Look at the intensity on the kisser of Chris the Hammer Hazeman as he makes his way to the octagon. This could be the crowning moment in an illustrious career for this fantastic submission fighter from Queensland. Can he defy the odds? Can he defeat Sperry? And can he become the champion of Cage Combat 1?
And there's the view from RefCam, making its debut here tonight. This is revolutionary, never been done anywhere else in the world. A credit to the guys who put it together for this great event here tonight. History in the making.
Mark the Hammer Castanini, listen to the crowd go bananas. 5,000 and more here at Sydney, the Olympic city of Sydney, Australia. You can cut the atmosphere with a knife. I'm on the edge of my seat. Cameron Quinn is about to get us underway. After 6 gripping fights, the madness finally meets the mania. The immovable object in the centre of the octagon. Here they go. Down to the canvas. Mario Sperry in the mount position.
Mario's hooked Chris's legs there, giving him no leeway at all. He's going to tie him right up and not give him an inch to move.
Both of these men hunting for a swift victory. There's no retreat, no surrender.
Mario going to work there with a hand.
Sperry drilling that left
drilling
hand.
it in.
The left hand to the side of Hazeman's face. How much punishment can he take? The warrior from Queensland, Australia.
Oh, is it?
Next time, disqualified.
That's right. He's won for that attempted gouge there, Mario.
Mario continues to drill the left hand into the side of the head of Chris Hazeman.
Hazeman trying to kick him out.
That's it, Chris. He's hanging there.
Mario now, shots to the body of Hazeman. Hazeman in some trouble at the moment.
That's it.
There's Hazeman's trainer yelling out some well-pointed tips.
Mario Sperry all over the Australian at the moment in this, the final of Cage Combat Championship.
Chris can't do anything. Stop. That's it. It's all over.
The referee has stepped in and stopped the fight. It's all over. Super Mario Sperry is the champion.
Australasian heavyweight champion from Rio de Janeiro, Mario Sperry.
Super Mario Sperry has done it. He is the first ever winner of the Australian Cage Combat Championship. And look at his giant entourage surrounding him, giving him all the accolades he deserves so thoroughly.
I would like to, I'm sorry my English is not very good, but I would like the whole people from Australia. They are very nice people. It's an honor to be here fighting. And I'd like to thank you, my coach, Castle Grace, my training boxing, Steve, and all my partners. We are here to help you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Sperry! And let's have a chat with Chris the Hammer Hazeman! Ladies and gentlemen, please, just want to say a few words, if you don't mind, please. Chris, what do you think, mate?
Well, congratulations to Mario. He's a hard man. I watched him fight in the States on the same card as I. And honestly, I thought then, gee, I hope I never have to fight that man, and tonight I did. I'd like to thank the Australian crowd. Great support, thanks for being here. We've got a lot of good Australian talent in Australia, so it's good to see we have a good crowd. Overseas, we don't generally get any support. It's the first time we've got an Australian crowd behind us. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Hazeman!
And well done to Chris Hazeman, and thank you very much, our ring announcer Dominic Bianco, Mark the Hammer Castanini. Let's take a look at the finals action as it went down.
Well, there you see Chris Hazeman trying for that side kick takedown, which really didn't come off for him. Mario just got out of the way of it. He's too experienced to fall for something like that, and then quickly went for the shoot and tied Chris up. And as you'll see, he'll work him down to the ground. There you go, he's hooked the leg, and he'll take him down. And now that's the comfort zone for Mario. He'll go to work on him now. And Chris is holding on for grim life there. He's got his head hooked. There's that kick again, or that takedown. Didn't come off for him, unfortunately. And I really don't know if I would have tried something like that against such an experienced opponent as Mario Sperry. That's probably something he could have done with Elvis, but he thought he'd give it a go, and it didn't work for him.
Mark the Hammer, do you think that the power, that the technique of Mario Sperry just took Chris Hazeman by surprise?
I'd say it would be a mixture of power, technique. What can I say, Michael? A fighter such as Mario he's going to always be hard to beat. He's always going to be very hard to beat. And I think Chris will only learn from this experience and come back a better man for it.
Well, in that mount position there, Mario Sperry had tremendous leverage, and he was able to rain down that left hand onto the side of the temple there of Chris Hazeman, and eventually those blows just took their toll on the Aussie, and he had to submit. He had to get out of there just for his own survival.
Well, certainly that's right, Michael. Mario wasn't getting a clean shot there. He's actually tried to go for the thumb there, which is a highly illegal technique, but he's gone back to work with his handiwork. He couldn't get a good clean shot to the side of Chris's face or to the jawline to go for that KO, but he still thought he'd just chip away, maybe create another opening, and in fact he just wore him down in the long run anyway.
And in that position that Chris Hazeman is in, he's really tied up. There's nothing he can do. It's hard to get an escape out of there when you've got a guy in the mount position hovering over the top of you, leaning all his body weight down and tying up your limbs.
Well, that's exactly right. An escape is always going to be hard from there. Chris is holding on for dear life. He's got Mario in close to survive any rangy attacks, but then what he's done is he's brought in those close-in attacks, which is the tight in punching, the headbutts, all that will come into it then. So it's sort of the lesser of two evils there that Chris has to contend with, and he made the decision to go with that tight headlock and keep Mario in tight. But unfortunately, he didn't account for Mario's arms just going to work in the body, as we're seeing now. Then he'll try and negate that one. Mario will just go back upstairs. There you go, straight back up to the head. So basically, whatever Chris was doing, Mario had an answer for, and ultimately, that's the way a champion fights. He's always got something he can use to overcome an opponent.
Well, Mario Sperry, he's really the thinking man's fighter. Down there on the floor, it's a game of chess, it's a game of strategy. And really, he took Chris Hazeman apart piece by piece, worked out the strategy. He'd seen Chris Hazeman fight before. Of course, his training partner, Murillo, had fought on the same card with Chris Hazeman over in Alabama last year. Perhaps that gave Mario a little bit of an insight as to how Chris Hazeman is on the floor.
I'd have to agree with you there, Michael, because when you've got someone who's fought an opponent and can give you the inside running, you're always going to have a bit of a chance and a bit of an advantage. So that certainly went Mario's way.
And it looks like the promoter of tonight's event, Randy Babel, is about to step into the cage to present Mario Sperry with his championship belt. Randy Babel, the man that made all this possible. They said it couldn't be done down under. They said you couldn't bring this style of fighting to Australia. But there's the man with the microphone, the man with the plan, Randy Babel, and he's made it all happen here tonight. The Cage Combat Championship #1. And there's our champion, Mario Sperry. And here's how the action panned out. Bodycott over Sweet, Sperry over White, Sinisic over Rocker, and Hazeman over Tarangi in the quarterfinals. Then in the semi-finals, it was Sperry over Bodycott and Chris the Hammer Hazeman over Elvis Sinisic. Moving on to the final, Hazeman up against Sperry, and of course, our winner, Super Mario Sperry from Rio de Janeiro.
Mario Sperry, a victorious Mario Sperry, after a hard-fought final. How does it feel, Mario?
As I said before, to be in Australia is an honor, and to be a champion in Australia is much more than an honor. I'm really glad to be here, and I just don't have any words to express my way of being happy to be here.
Was the final what you expected? Was it as hard as you expected?
Like the second fight, I was lucky to be in a good position, so I can say that it was a hard fight. I just can say that I was very lucky to get the mount position and finish the fight, because the guy Chris is a very tough man. So that's what this is sport all about. You have to take your chance and get the best of it.
Chris, a hard fight. Mario was always going to be a tough customer. What have you got to say about the performance in the final?
Well, I guess it's easy to say I would have liked to have done better. I would have liked to put up maybe a tougher show and come out victorious, but Mario's just got the experience there, and it takes it out. People, I guess, don't understand that, you know, if I'm just doing one fight, you can put everything into the first fight, knowing that, you know, that's it. But in a competition such as this, where we've got a tournament, where you've got to fight one fight, you've got to fight the next fight, and then you've got to come back. And because there's not as many fights, between each fight gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And just by the time I recovered in the last fight, it was time to go back out there again. And Mario, having probably the experience, has probably gone through this many, many a time. And I think that gave him the upper hand this time. But I'll catch up, I'm sure.
And the Brazilian Carnival has come to the octagon, and Mario Sperry, the victor, joins in the celebrations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of a history-making night, which was everything we expected and more. And I dare say that the Olympic city of Sydney has never been rocked like it was tonight, with the staging of the first ever Australian Cage Combat Championship. From myself, Michael Chavello, and Mark the Hammer Castanini, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the pleasure of your company cage side next time, when once again, the madness will meet the mania. Good night.